The purpose of the United Nations should be to solve problems. To use it as a mere debating platform or as a propaganda outlet or as an extension of domestic politics is to pervert the high ideals which should imbue this body. In order to modernize and make efficient our organization, perhaps even the Secretariat, under the leadership of its Secretary General, may need to be revised. In saying this, I am not, most definitely not, in any way criticizing or denouncing the present Secretary General, who is striving to do a good job under outmoded conditions which must at times seem impossible. How then can they be efficient? How can members of those two groups in the world, groups which are a reality and which must be accepted, how can members of those two groups feel at ease in this organization and have the necessary utmost confidence in it? Since the war, we have witnessed three great permanent phenomena. First is the rise of the socialist countries. That was not foreseen in 1945. Second is the great wave of national liberation and economic emancipation which has swept over Asia and Africa and over our brothers in Latin America. I think that only we who were directly involved anticipated that. Third is the great scientific advance which at first dealt in weapons of war, and war, but which is turning now to the barriers and frontiers of space. Who could have prophesied this? It is true that our charter can be revised. I am aware that there exists a procedure for doing so and a time when it can be done. But this question is urgent. It may be a matter of life and death for the United Nations. No narrow legalistic thinking should prevent this being done at once. Equally, it is essential that the distribution of seats in the Security Council and the other bodies and agencies should be revised. I am not thinking in this matter in terms of block votes, but I am thinking of the urgency that the Charter of the United Nations, bodies, and its Secretariat should all reflect the true position of our present world. We of Indonesia regard this body with great hope and yet with great fear. We regard it with great hope because it was useful to us in our struggle for national life. We regard it with great hope because we believe that only some such organization as this can provide the framework for the sane and secure world we crave. We regard it with great fear because we have presented one great national issue, the issue of West Irian, before this assembly, and no solution has been found. We regard it with fear because great powers of the world have introduced their dangerous Cold War game into its halls. We regard it with fear lest it should fail and go the way of its predecessor and thus remove from the eyes of men a vision of secure and united future. let us face the fact that this organization, in its present methods and by its present form, is a product of the Western state system. Pardon me, but I cannot regard that system with reverence. I cannot even regard it with very much affection, although I do respect it greatly. Imperialism and colonialism were offspring of that Western state system, and in common with the vast majority of this organization, I hate imperialism. I detest colonialism. And I fear the consequences of their last bitter struggle for life. Twice within my own lifetime, the Western state system has torn itself to shreds and once almost destroyed the world in bitter conflict. Can you wonder that so many of us look at this organization, which is also a product of the Western state system, with a question in our eyes? Please do not misunderstand me. We respect and admire that system. We have been inspired by the words of Lincoln and of Lenin, by the deeds of Washington and by the deeds of Garibaldi. Even perhaps we look with envy upon some of the physical achievements of the West. But we are determined that our nations and the world as a whole shall not be the plaything of one small corner of the world. We do not seek to defend the world we know. We seek to build a better world. As a practical step in this direction, it is my honor and my duty to submit a draft resolution to this General Assembly. On behalf of the delegations of Ghana, India, the United Arab Republic, Yugoslavia, and Indonesia, I hereby submit the following resolution. The General Assembly, deeply concerned with the recent deterioration in international relations which threatens the world with grave consequences. Aware of the great expectancy of the world that this assembly will assist in helping to prepare the way for the easing of world tension. Conscious of the grave and urgent responsibility that rests on the United Nations to initiate helpful efforts, requests as a first urgent step the President of the United States of America and the Chairman of the Council of Ministers of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics to renew their contacts interrupted recently, so that their declared willingness to find solutions of the outstanding problems by negotiations may be progressively implemented. Mr. President, may I request, on behalf of the delegations of the above-mentioned 5 nations, that this resolution receive your urgent consideration. A letter to this effect, signed by the heads of the delegations of Ghana, India, the United Arab Republic, Yugoslavia, and Indonesia, has already been sent to the Secretariat. I submit that draft resolution on behalf of those 5 delegations and on behalf of the millions of people in those nations. To accept this resolution is a possible and immediately step. Let this General Assembly accept this resolution as soon as possible. Let us take this practical step towards an easing of the dangerous tension in our world. Let us carry this resolution unanimously so that the full force of the world's concern may be felt. Let us take this first step and let us determine to continue our activity and pressure until our world becomes the better and more secure world we envisage.